What's up YouTube, this is Boston X89. Guys, today I'm coming to my latest deck profile video for August 2020, and today guys, we're looking at my updated Domain Monarch deck. Been way too long since I profiled Domain Monarch deck on my channel. I think the last deck profile for Domain Monarchs was last year. And I can tell you right now, it's been just way too long. To be very honest, I've been looking over the deck recently. I've been thinking about how to try to up consistency as well as getting other effects off while doing that. Look carefully at Eribus, Eidos, Edia, and even the brand new monster I have in my deck. And to be honest, there are effects that activate when they're sent to the graveyard or activate while in the graveyard, so getting that graveyard set up is kind of important. And with that, I think I stumbled upon the right build to actually make use of this. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into this, and we're going to talk monsters first as always. 3 copies of Aether, the Heavenly Monarch. Okay, so Aether and Eribus both share a similar effect where you can just tribute off a tribute summon monster to bring it out, so it's just one tribute to get out a level 8 monster. Aether has a quick effect that during your opponent's turn you can pitch a Monarch spell and trap card from your hand to basically tribute summon this card during your opponent's turn. And then once it's summoned on the field, you could send 2 Monarch spells and traps from your deck to your graveyard in order to special summon another monster that has 2400 or more attack and 1000 defense to your field. Additional bodies on the board can really do a lot to discourage your opponent because it gives them more to overcome. With that being said, the monster that comes out with its effect is returned to your hand during your turn, and there is one particular monster that I just added into the deck that actually does like to be put on the field and then brought back to the hand, so this is going to be very interesting. We got 3 copies of Eribus. Alright, Eribus on summon, you can pitch 1 Monarch spell, or 2 Monarch spells and traps from your deck to your graveyard to spend any card off the field back to the deck. Typically you're going to be doing that to your opponents, taking resources off the field or even out of their hand, if I remember correctly about this card. So that's actually very important. While this card's in the graveyard, banish a Monarch spell and trap card, and you're kicking back any monster with 2400 or more attack and 1000 defense back to your hand, so you can utilize those monsters a little bit more often. So he does have very important roles to play in this deck. 3 copies of Edia and 3 copies of Eidos. This is pretty much the tribute summon engine of the deck. On summon, Edia will special summon out Eidos. Eidos on summon will give you an additional tribute summon to your normal summon during that turn, which is huge. Okay, when Edia is sent to the graveyard, as soon as he hits, you're going to be able to get a banished Monarch spell and trap card back from your banish zone into him, which is very huge. Just can allow you to really abuse a lot of different Monarch spells and traps, more precisely Pantheism, multiple times during the course of a turn. Eidos, you banish Eidos, you special summon Edia back onto the field, and then her effect kicks in to be able to summon out another Eidos. You get the whole idea. So set him with the graveyard with an Eidos, or even sending an Edia to the graveyard to get back a Monarch spell and trap, definitely very important. And then of course we got the win con for the deck, 3 copies of Vanity's Fiend. I'm running 3 copies primarily because you want to be able to see this card. Once this card hits the field, your opponent, or actually neither player, is going to be special summoning at all, and that basically can shut down every deck. No special summons, your opponent won't be able to do anything, and when you start adding in other cards like the Monarch Erupts, you're pretty much in full control of the board at that point, and your opponent's going to probably be forced to concede the duel to you. So definitely you want to be seeing this card as much as possible. And then the next card we got is the newest card in the deck, and that's 3 copies of Danger Dogman. Dogman's attack and defense are 2400 and 1000 attack, which is basically what the stat lines of all Monarchs are, which means you can utilize this very easily in this deck. It is a free body on the board when you special summon it, and furthermore, all the dangers are walking upstart goblins, which means when you special summon it, you're drawing a card, allowing you to see more cards, allows you to do a lot more different things, which is just awesome. Furthermore, if you're able to discard this card to the graveyard, you're weakening one of your opponent's monsters by 1,000 attack. And that can actually be very, very, very useful in getting over problematic cards. Alright, that's it for the monsters. On to the spells. For the consistency purposes of this deck, I am running 3 copies of Dark War Dealings. I think this card is the best card for this deck. I've initially tried cards like Allure of Darkness. I mean, it was good, but losing your monsters, Dark Attribute monsters, to that card just to draw 2, it could get in the way of the deck, even though you're seeing more cards. This card allows you to set up your graveyard so you can get Eribus online faster. Eidos set up for Edia to be sent to the graveyard, or getting Edia into the graveyard to recur your banish Monarch spells and traps. Dogman to weaken opponent's monsters. So it does a lot more than this. Now, it does give both players a draw, but hey, listen, since it's giving both players a draw to fix their hands and set up their graveyards, this card is less likely to be ashed, and I think that's the most important thing about this card to really help this deck get off. Alright, and then we're going to turn around and get into 3 copies of Domain of the Monarchs. Domain of the Monarchs, why can I say, well, Domain of the True Monarchs is just an amazing card. What does it do? Basically, when you control a tribute summon monster and no cards in your extra deck, your opponent's not special summoning anything from the extra deck. Very important. By removing that resource from your opponent, you're then not going to be able to do much, and that can hurt a large majority of decks that are out there. Whenever one of your tribute summon monsters attacks, it gains 800 attack during that particular attack, which is very awesome. You can send your 2400 attack point monsters up to 3200 and your 28 up to 36, so you can pretty much get over a lot of different things. It can also reduce the level of a monster with 2000 attack and 1000 defense in your hand down by 2, so you only have to really use 1 tribute to get it out. So definitely a very awesome card to have. 1 copy of 1 for 1. 1 for 1 allows you to pitch a larger monster to get out a level 1 monster. Eddie is a level 1. She helps get the engine started, so definitely worth having in this deck. Pantheism at 1. Hopefully it comes down the list to 3 on a future ban list. Pitch a Monarch spell and trap, you draw 2 cards. While this card's in the graveyard, you banish it, you reveal 3 Monarch spells and traps. Your opponent adds 1 of them to your hand, the others get shuffled back in your deck. Activate both effects in 1 turn, so you really can be able to get into your deck and get particular cards that you need. 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army. Another Get to Edia card. 2 copies of the Return of the Monarchs. Whenever you tribute summon, you're able to search your deck for a monster with 2400 or more attack and 1000 defense to add it to your hand. Eribus, Aether, and even Dogman are all searchable off of this card, so this is a very key consistent card for the deck. And it's also a Monarch name, so it's very useful in sending it to the graveyard to power off other effects. We got 3 copies of Tenacity of the Marks. We have 9 cards that can be utilized with this card. And it searches out your other Monarch spells and traps. 3 copies of the Monarch Stormforth. Very important because this card, it's a quick effect first of all, and it also allows you basically to tribute off one of your opponent's monsters as tribute fodder for your own tribute summons. Very huge, and I can tell you right now, it's definitely something that a lot of opponents don't like to see because this is non-targeting, so you can get around those non-targeted effects a lot easier. 3 copies of Solemn Judgement. Solemn Judgement, counter trap, stops summons. Very important. It can stop the activation of spells, which is also very important because it will stop your opponent from lightning storming you. And then last but not least, you can also stop trap cards, which can put any trap heavy deck in to a bit of a perspective. Next up, we got 2 copies of the Monarch's Erupt. While you control a Tribute Summon monster, this card prevents the effects of any non-Tribute Summon monsters from being activated. They're all negated, which is awesome. Just be careful during the end phase of the turn, your turn specifically, you don't control a Tribute Summon monster, this card will turn around and destroy itself, so just be wary of that if your opponent manages to get over one of your Tribute Summon monsters. And last but not least, we got one copy of the Prime Monarch. Prime Monarch, when it's on the field, can kick 2 Monarch spell and trap cards from your graveyard back to your deck to draw them. Very good, help boost consistency of the deck. While this card's in your graveyard, you can actually banish another Monarch spell and trap card, special summon this card to your field defense position to utilize as Tribute Father, or you can utilize it in a pinch to block an attack and prevent yourself from taking some damage. So it does have a lot of uses in this deck. Guys, that is it for my Domain Monarch deck profile for August 2020. I do hope you enjoyed it. Guys, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this on my channel, make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you don't miss a single upload. Check out the description box below. Find the links to my affiliates, tcgplayer.com as well as sidedeckversus.com. Great resources for any Yu-Gi-Oh player. Follow me on social media, Reddit and Twitter. And if you guys want to help grow my community to even greater heights, the invite link to my Discord server is also in the description box. Join the conversation. We'll love to have you. Guys, as always, until next time, peace.